Welcome back to another episode of the A to Z of Wine. Everything you wanted to know about wine, but were afraid to ask.
It's October and it's harvest season in England, and today we are in Oxney Organic Estate, so vineyards between Kent and East Sussex, and we're going to be meeting Kristin, the owner of Oxney, who's going to teach us how to harvest. Kristin, this is your vineyard. How long have you had it here?
So we planted the first field in 2012, and so we had our first harvest in 2014. And so actually this is our 10th vintage this year, so it's quite special.
Fantastic, that's great.
Would you like to help me do some picking?
I think that would be fantastic. Let's get our hands dirty and get involved.
Fantastic. So let's get you a bucket.
Okay. So what other kit do I need?
So you need a bucket.
Okay.
And gloves are good.
Okay.
Don't get too sticky.
Okay.
And some picking scissors.
Picking scissors, fantastic. Brilliant.
Okay, so you can see here we have ripe grapes. So what you do is you hang on to a bunch, that is the key, so you don't snip yourself. And then you snip the little stalk. And then you put it in the bucket.
Brilliant.
And then if you find something, we are organic, so there will be a little bit of disease, maybe a little bit of botrytis, a little bit of powdery maybe, and you just do that. You just use your scissors and you just clean the bunch. There we go, and then you put it in your bucket.
Great.
Would you like to try?
Yes, let's go. Let me have a shot. Let's see. So I suppose it's clearing out the leaves.
Sometimes, yes, we take the leaves off too, so we can see the grapes.
Yes, you can see.
Yeah.
And then, hold on, oopsie, not like that. And then you're clearing out the botrytis here.
Yeah.
Great. There we go. That's my first bunch.
Fantastic.
My first ever harvest.
Yay.
Thank you very much. Right, let's go. So
let's go for it.
So how many of these Chardonnay vines do you have on the estate?
So overall I have 57,000 plants, vines, and about 40% of those are Chardonnay.
Okay.
Different clones.
Different clones.
Yeah.
And so this particular clone you said was 95.
Yes.
So is this for sparkling or for still wine?
Well, last year we actually used part of this for still. So it depends. In the UK, because our climate is so enormously different and tricky.
Good shot.
It's not exactly consistent which grapes goes into what.
Ah, okay.
But we're still experimenting. We're still a young vineyard. Yes, the thinking is still, if it passes the winemaker's criteria.
Okay. And so when you say passing the winemaker's criteria, are you testing the flavors or the sugar? How does it work?
So coming up to picking, we are, for sure, looking at tasting the grapes for phenolic ripeness. We're tasting it for sugar, etc. But the most important thing is ripeness. That the grapes are ripe.
Okay.
And then we just, then we have a kind of some kind of plan about what it's going to go for.
Okay.
But when we then pick, obviously you only know what you have when you start pressing. And then you kind of can fine-tune your plans a little bit. But yeah, on the whole, we think this field is going to go mostly for still wine.
So if we were looking at this bunch, they're really tightly packed.
Yes.
Is that a good thing? Is that what we're looking for?
So no. So actually, I prefer in this vineyard the clones that have a loose habit.
Okay.
Because then when you're organic, what you use to kind of fight diseases with is not the heavy chemicals basically.
Okay.
And it's all contact based. So you want to kind of get into the bunch.
Okay.
So if the bunch is loose, that's even better.
Yes. So tell us about this beautiful bunch here. So you've got the perfectly green grapes, and then what are these little bits here?
So that's probably a little tiny bit of botrytis.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So in around the world, it's called noble rot. Here in the UK, it's not noble at all.
Okay.
No, we don't want botrytis. We fight it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're not making sort of late harvest sweet wines with this, are we?
No, that doesn't work in this wet wet climate for sure.
Oh, let's pick some more. I see some gorgeous bunches over
Yeah,
here.
it looks great, doesn't it? And this,
Okay.
by the way, look at this, and the one you have. Guess
Who's
what's
eating
happened
that?
here?
Humans.
Who's eaten that?
Humans. No.
Badgers.
Ah, badgers.
Yeah, so they raise themselves up, put their paws on the wire, and they kind of suck at the bunches.
Gosh.
Naughty ones.
That's.
So naughty.
Well, I suppose that's all part and parcel of a organic
Yeah.
and biodiversity vineyard.
Yeah,
where-
absolutely.
And who do we have here? We have a wine dog as well.
I know, Frida.
Frida. Frida, you going to help us pick?
Frida, come on, come on, come on, come on. You're a good girl.
Oh.
Are you a good girl? No.
Yes, grapes are not for dogs. So tell us about these particular vines. The grapes. What is this going to be making?
So most likely this is going to go into still Chardonnay. So we don't make it every year. We only
Okay.
make it in a good year.
Okay.
England really is kind of developing a really good reputation for wine, but predominantly sparkling wine.
Indeed.
And that's because of the climate. So in the UK, we can make fantastic sparkling wine every year.
Yes.
If you want to make incredible still wines, like a Chardonnay or a red, you just do it in the good vintages.
Okay. So in terms of the seasons in Oxney, so the vines would be sleeping in January, February.
So yes, the vineyard year
March.
in my head starts on the 1st of December.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So because of the 1st of December, the vines are gone to sleep, and we can start pruning.
Okay.
And that's the beginning of the year. That's vintage. The beginning of vintage really is pruning.
Okay.
Yeah. So we then start pruning, and we prune for 3 months. We prune in-house because the best job is done by people who really care about the vines.
True.
And we then start, the process of looking after the bud burst in the UK happens late April.
Late April.
So you then start worrying about spring frost. And then of course you spend the whole summer looking after
The
the
canopy.
shoes, the canopy,
Yep.
making everything neat. You can see everything is tucked in.
Yeah.
Um,
So what kind of training was this?
the trellising?
Trellising.
Yeah. So it's the reason why the trellising in the UK is so tall is because we're catching the sun. We need as much photosynthesis as possible because we don't have enough sun really.
Okay.
That's why we have the relatively large leaf walls.
Yeah. So you mentioned about frost, spring frost. So we are about 6 miles away from the sea,
Yes.
from the English Channel.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we're pretty close to the sea. Does that also sort of help with the spring frost?
So for sure, and also we're very low. So we're 17 meters over sea level, 6
Okay.
miles from the English Channel. But it's unavoidable. In some years you'll have it.
Yes.
It just happens.
Yes.
It's just something you have to factor in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the sea as well, does that sort of bring in characteristics, sort of that nice salinity in the grapes and the still or sparkling as well?
I would say probably we're a bit
Yes.
far away from the sea
Bit
for
far
that
away.
to happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But definitely there is that. It's so interesting because people
Yes.
do always ask, what's this? What style are you interested in making? I used to get at the beginning.
Yes, of
And
course.
I'm like, you make what the site gives you.
Yes.
And that's, the word terroir
Yes.
was a word I was a bit skeptical about at the beginning because I used to work in PR. I thought it was just a PR word. But it's not.
No.
It's absolutely what the site gives you.
Yes.
And so this site gives us super elegant, linear, clear, clean, lovely wines. Even our winemaker says that, wine is made in the vineyard.
100%.
And you start making wine on the 1st of December, in a way, when you think about it.
Yes.
When you're pruning.
So we got as far as the summer, didn't we? So June, July, so the berries sort of they're still quite green at that point in time?
Yes. So we get the first shoots in early April.
Okay.
And we, and you know, you can actually see the shoots growing, you know, week by week. It's absolutely extraordinary. And then you get flowers. They flower in early July. This year, actually late June. So this was a very early season.
Yes.
And then you can start to see the grapes forming almost immediately after flowering. It's super quick. It's so exciting. Veraison, which is when the grape changes color, happens, you know, in midsummer, mid to late summer. And then you're just, you know, desperately looking after these babes to make sure that they hit the press. Yeah.
And so the picking season starts sort of roughly around
late September.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends on the varieties you have. I mean, some sites have earlier ripening varieties. I have mostly our Pinot Precoce we picked.
That's early
in
ripening.
September, early ripening.
Yes.
But these you know, Chardonnay, Pinot Noirs, etc. we pick in well into October.
And so, on average, how many people do you normally have helping you pick? So working on the vineyard.
Yes. So it depends a little bit on what we're picking, which day. We pick every clone individually.
Okay.
So because every clone is made into a different wine.
Okay.
And then it's all about blending. So, but you know, we have, you know, everything from our local team, half a dozen, to, you know, 18 contractor pickers. So, every day is different.
And I imagine they're also ripening at different times, the different vines.
Absolutely. And the different clones are ripening at different
times as
well.
well.
Yeah.
That's super interesting.
Yeah. No, it's really interesting. And the flavors you get, you know, I mean, it's just amazing. We have a new field we planted in 2018, and over the years we haven't really had that much crop from it yet, but we've been tasting it and so developing this really interesting flavors. And we came this year, you know, it was real kind of jasmine flavor. Absolutely interesting.
So really aromatic. What variety was that?
It's a Chardonnay.
Oh my God.
I know.
So the different soils, do we have sort of different elevation or different soils?
Definitely different soils.
Yes.
You know, every site has pockets of different types. Every vineyard has, every field is different.
Yes.
Yeah. It's so interesting. And it's a different clone and it's, so that'd be interesting to see whether that survives the pressing and
and how I suppose you'd probably be doing something slightly different when it comes to making the wine to preserve those aromatics in the grapes?
Yes, I don't really know yet.
Exciting.
But, you know, it's whether, you know, it's gone into barrels. And so some has gone into stainless steel, and then so it's us, you know, experimenting to see whether we can kind of keep that. It's so interesting.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
It's really interesting.
Winemaking is really part art, part science.
It's hugely part science.
Science.
Creative science,
yes.
I'd say.
Yes.
And what's also interesting is I had a visit from Os Clark a couple of years ago.
Fantastic.
He's such a cool guy.
Yes.
And
great champion of English wine as well.
Absolutely. And he was writing his book on English wine. And when he was tasting our Pinots, he said that we have this kind of rose flavour or perfume in the Pinots. And Salvatore, our winemaker, says it's a crushed rose petal.
Oh, that's one of my favourite aromas in red wine. Oh,
really?
Absolutely.
Really?
It reminds me of Nebbiolos and more recently the Gamay grapes and Beaujolais.
But it's not every year.
No.
But it's kind of this thing that just floats in. It's like a ghost that comes in some vintages.
Yes, that's terroir for you.
That's terroir for you. It's so interesting, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. We're going to have to get another bucket.
We're doing incredibly well, aren't we?
Yeah, we really are.
One more.
I think one more.
Fabulous.
Great.
Brilliant.
I think we should go get that bucket.
Thank you so much.
Hey,
thanks for your help.
Thank you. So, Laura, I hear a bit of a twang. Whereabouts in the world are you from?
Canada, West Coast.
Canada, West Coast. What brings you to the UK, specifically Oxney?
Well, funnily, Oxney was my first choice. Sparkling wine. English sparkling wine is why I am in the UK.
I mean, I obviously love it. That's what I like to talk about. But how did you find out about English sparkling wine?
At home, we've got this incredible liquor store, and we have access to some of the English sparkling wines. Gusburn is the one that I tried first. Blind tasted, thought it was from Champagne. It was a Blanc de Blanc from 2013, I believe. And I thought, damn, that's good.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to follow that sort of quality and discovered that English wine through my studies in wine with WSET is definitely a thing. And fast forward about 5 years, it has finally got me here, and I've been able to spend a vintage over in the UK studying it, drinking a lot of it.
As you should.
And Oxney was, like I say, my first choice because they are certified organic, and I loved their story. And Kristin luckily took me on.
That's superb. I mean, I think personally England is the most exciting region currently in wine. We are doing so much. We have wonderful terroirs, different sort of clones working in different areas. I think it's phenomenal wine. I think when people say, what's the next big thing in wine? You're nodding as well. I say it's English wine, not just English sparkling wine, but English still wine.
Yeah, I agree with you there too. I've had some of the most incredible still wines. I think there's definitely some growth, some learning curves, particularly dealing with Pinot.
Yes.
But our Chardonnays and even our fun aromatic whites are, there's some great stuff out there.
Yeah. Any favorites? Any favorite grapes currently? What do you
Well,
enjoy?
I mean, obviously, I'm a big fan of Pinot and Chard.
Yes.
Grapes that we can grow here, I'm going to just sort of stick with those ones. I do have some other favorites that we're not able to grow here yet. I mean, ideally, they don't ever have to be able to be grown here just because climate change is something that we're all concerned about.
Yes.
But I think that we have an opportunity here in the UK to have some of the finest, and I think that people already discovered it. Through blind tastings, it's definitely something to look forward to as the quality grows with other growers and producers. But certified organic means a lot because it's something that isn't necessarily known to be accomplished in the UK, and I think that Kristin is proving them that actually you can do it. And
it's quite a feat. It's quite a feat because we have, sort of not, I wouldn't say issues, but there can be damp is a problem. So downy mildew, I imagine powdery mildew is probably a problem because we're so, sort of the joys of an island.
For sure.
And cool climate as well. We're a cool climate wine region, so
for sure.
Not the easiest.
But I think canopy management is getting wider, and we're learning more every year.
So these guys here making sure that they're giving access to the grapes, so the grapes can access
For sure, and making sure you got particularly so that your sprays that you're using can access the grapes because we need them to hit. They're not systemic. They must make contact with the actual fruit to work. And I think that collaboratively UK is also something that's phenomenal. There's a lot of talk between vineyard management, the wineries coming together throughout Kent and Sussex, and I'm sure in other places as well. I'm only familiar with Kent and Sussex so far.
Because we're on the border of both.
Yeah, and I think that they speak enough, and we get to learn quicker about the problems that arise, and I mean, there's that fruit fly that's affecting some places as well. And so, people, as long as they're talking,
working together,
it's so important in this young industry, in this not wine growing, but certainly in the UK, that renaissance of the new grow.
Yes, I think so. I think the wine community in the UK is exceptional in terms of working together and lending a hand, advice, learning from each other.
Well, all our pickers are trained. They're all volunteering their time today.
There you go.
Yeah, it's pretty phenomenal day.
Pretty special. Pretty special day. Should we go a little bit further?
Sure.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Let's see, let's try what one of these is like. That is so sweet. Delicious. There, I think that's the last bunch. Bucket's full. I think we should go and taste some wine now.
Shehnaz, would you like to try some Chardonnay?
I thought you'd never ask.
So, you know, this is what we've been picking today.
Okay.
Chardonnay, and this is from 2022, and it's from the same field we picked.
So what do we get on the nose here?
Oh, I get a lot of minerality, saltiness, salinity, pure Chardonnay. I can feel the barrels. This was made
Bit of spice.
72% on barrels.
Okay.
Yeah, spice. What do you get?
I cheated and had a taste. Oh my God, it's fantastic. I'm smelling, yeah, lots of minerals, bit of wildflowers, apples. But there's a lovely note of kind of sweet spice, you know, if you were baking. That kind of spice. But yeah, let's have a proper sip.
Mace and cinnamons and all those kind of.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Can you imagine that's from England? You know, when you think about all the
actually can't believe
flavors
it. Yeah.
that are in that glass.
It's almost like a blend between Chablis and, I don't know, something sort of more Burgundy-esque, but lighter oak.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
Best.
What would you pair this kind of Chardonnay with?
I think that you're probably looking at, you know, it sounds kind of a bit trite, doesn't it? But, you know, shellfish and, but, you know,
Smoked salmon?
smoked salmon, fattier fishes.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, yummy. Maybe even a typical English quiche, you know, just cuts through the
Yeah,
fat.
yeah, absolutely.
Maybe a bit of fish
Pastry.
and chips.
Fish and
Pastry.
chips.
Fish and
The,
chips.
the
yeah.
fish and chips, perfect accompaniment is our sparkling wine.
Sparkling.
Absolutely
Which is what we're going to
incredible.
try next.
Yeah.
This is absolutely gorgeous. So the grapes that we picked today, you're going to be making a similar kind of Chardonnay again for 2023?
That's what we hope.
Fingers
Vintage
crossed.
Variations is the
Yeah.
middle name of English wine, but you know it's
True.
just one of those things.
True.
But yeah, we hope to.
Cool.
Yeah,
Let's try some sparkling. This is where we-
fantastic.
Spittoon or
Spittoon, or shall we just throw it out on the grass?
Yeah, let's do
Yeah.
that.
Very happy worms here.
Yes. I can imagine they're drinking some of the best.
So this is a classic blend of English sparkling wine. It's 45% Pinot Meunier, 35% Pinot Noir, and 20% Chardonnay.
And I see that it says here single estate English sparkling
Yes.
wine.
So
that
only
mean?
our own grapes
Okay.
is in this bottle.
Okay.
That's our approach. We don't buy anything in.
okay. Right. Let's try. So Pinot Meunier is one of my favorite grapes.
Yeah. So this is 45% Pinot Meunier. So yeah. So it's nearly a Pinot Noir with only 20%
Yes.
Chardonnay.
It's almost like a Blanc de Noir, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, there's spice on this one. It's delicious.
It's
The
good, isn't
smell.
it?
Oh,
Yeah.
what else? I think lots of red fruit. So not just the raspberries and strawberries, maybe a bit of red currant. What else do we have here?
Yeah, definitely.
Minerally.
But red currants, but also, you know, the hedgerow red fruits
Yes.
that we have in England.
Absolutely.
You know, we have rose hips, we have hawthorn berries, we have, that's, you know, this is England. It's not the south of France.
No.
You know. So, yeah.
But it reminds me as well of some sort of Scandinavian berries. I can't think of the name.
Oh, right.
Do you know which ones I mean? The sort of the red berries.
Yeah. Loganberries?
Loganberries. A certain famous Swedish shop makes jam from them.
Oh,
I can't remember the name
right.
of
Loganberry
Yeah, it must be
jam.
them. So beautiful. Let's taste. That's
So this
delicious.
this is our latest disgorging. So
Okay.
this had 48 on months on lease.
Wow. Okay. So standard bottle of champagne would be about 15 months, and this has been 48 months.
48 months on lease.
So a lot of age.
Yeah.
But the freshness, though, on this, considering
Yeah.
it's had 4 years on lease.
Yeah, and that's why English wine is so interesting, is because of the acids we get, the
Okay.
backbone that holds the wine together. When you think about all the processing a second fermentation sparkling wine goes through, how many actions, you know,
Yes.
second fermentation in the bottle, well, primary fermentation, secondary fermentation in the bottle, riddling, disgorging, dosage, all those techie words means a lot of action for a wine, but the acid holds it together.
It's almost like the backbone
It's the backbone.
of everything that's
Yeah.
happening in this
Yeah.
in this glass.
And that's why the Champenois are investing in the English countryside.
Yes, I can see that. This is absolutely stunning. I would never have realised though. It's so fresh. I would never thought it was 48 months.
No.
But it's got that complexity, which is the 48 months.
Yes.
But so we had, so this is 2018. So what was 2018 like?
2018 was an amazing year.
Yeah.
Absolutely the best year ever. Everything went right. The spring had no frost. The flowering was immense. The summer was gorgeous. We had an Indian summer. Everything went right. So the quality was great, and the yield was amazing. Yeah, that's what. So 2023, I think will be similar.
Similar, yeah?
Yeah, a little bit more disease because of the wetness in the summer.
It's true. We had a lot of rain, didn't we, on and off?
And it was
Unexpected
cold.
rain.
It was incredible. So
Not like now,
not
second
right
week
now.
of October,
I
and it's
know.
probably mid-20s already.
I know, absolutely gorgeous. What a day. Thank you so
Brilliant.
much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Well, cheers to this.
Cheers.
Maybe some fish and chips to go with it.
Absolutely.
Maybe a bit of smoked
Let's
salmon.
go down to Rye and get some.
Let's go for some lunch.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the A to Z of Wine, where we feature harvest at Oxney Organic Estate. We met winery owner Kristin, who taught us how to pick grapes, the impact of terroir on flavour, and why organic farming, though a challenge on this cool climate island, is so important to what they do at Oxney. We meet Lara from Canada, whose love of English sparkling wine has brought her to the UK to work the vintage at Oxney. And we discuss why England is currently one of the most exciting wine regions in the world, making quality still and sparkling wines. And of course we taste some wine, specifically the impressive still Chardonnay from the same vine blocks we harvested, and the fabulous classic 2018 English sparkling wine, which, though a blend of the 3 champagne varieties, really showcases one of my favourites, the red Pinot Meunier grape. We learned about vintage variation in England. 2018 was one of the best years for English sparkling wine in terms of weather conditions and quality of the wines, and 2023 is predicted to be very similar. So next time you think about enjoying a bottle of fizz, give English sparkling wine a go. Join us on the next episode of the A to Z of Wine, where we continue to explore English wine and travel to Essex, considered the future of English wine. So join me.